Thank you, Dr. Moon. Graduate and professional students from the H. Wayne Huizinga College of Business and Entrepreneurship, the College of Computing, AI, and Cybersecurity, and the College of Psychology. Congratulations on this very special day. And friends and family of the graduates, congratulations and thanks to you too for the support that you provided to your family member or friend as they pursued this academic journey. It was approximately 37 years ago that I was in your shoes, sitting in your seats, if you will, preparing to graduate from Nova Southeastern University with a Ph.D. in clinical psychology. So the subsequent 37 years have been quite a journey for me. Lots of twists and turns that I couldn't have imagined, many opportunities, many successes, but also many failures and many tragedies. Sometimes I felt like it was a roller coaster ride. Other times I felt like I was riding a crazy train. So over the past 4 decades, I learned some things that really have helped me in my professional and my academic career. And today I'd like to share some of those stories and some of the things I've learned so they might help you too as you graduate and begin your professional journey. So I came to Nova University, that's what it was called back then, in 1984 to pursue a master's and PhD in clinical psychology. And I studied under the tutelage of Dr. Nathan Azrin, who was one of the founding fathers of the entire field of behavior therapy. And over his career, Dr. Azrin developed and established the leading treatments, the leading evidence-based treatments for about 25 different psychological disorders. So beginning on day one at Nova University, and day one working with Dr. Azrin, he provided me with some incredible opportunities. Both Dr. Azrin and Nova provided incredible opportunities. He wrote research grants, we wrote research grants together, we presented our results at national meetings, published articles together, and following in his footsteps, focused on developing and evaluating evidence-based treatments for a variety of psychological disorders. So my education and training at Nova was just absolutely outstanding. It was hard work for sure, but much of my professional and my academic success is attributable to what I learned here at Nova University. So upon my graduation from Nova, I knew that I wanted to pursue a career in research and academia, but I didn't really have a vision of exactly how it was I was to try to do that. So I actually entered active duty in the United States Air Force, and I completed a psychology internship at Wilford Hall Medical Center. There's at least one of you that's going there soon. That was in San Antonio, Texas. And after serving military assignments in New Mexico and Mississippi and England, I returned to Wilford Hall in San Antonio in 1997 to actually serve as the fellowship program director for clinical health psychology. So I was at Wilford Hall in San Antonio. 4 years later, September 11th occurred. So it was a tragic day for America, and many of you probably still remember exactly where you were that day, depending on your age. So at that point, I had actually served on active duty in the Air Force for 17 years, and I had never deployed. And before the end of that tragic day, I was deployed for the very first time. I was deployed to McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey, about 75 miles from the Twin Towers, where Ground Zero was in Manhattan. I and about 200 Air Force medical personnel were deployed on a C-5 Galaxy aircraft. It's the largest military transport plane that exists. So we were deployed, and in the cargo bay of that aircraft was an air transportable hospital. It had been developed, but had never actually been used before. So we were flown on the evening of September 11th, one of the few aircraft in the nation that actually was flying on the evening of September 11th. And we went to McGuire Air Force Base to provide care for the survivors of the Twin Towers. About 3 days later, after arriving there were very few survivors left. So I was asked to lead a team of behavioral health providers to the Armed Forces Mortuary at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. to assist with searching through hundreds of body bags that were being brought in from the attack on the Pentagon. And the goal of the individuals deployed there was to do human remains identification. 3 weeks later, I was deployed to Operation Enduring Freedom in Southwest Asia. So my life, the lives of millions of others, was literally turned upside down on September 11th. Nonetheless, I tried to embrace the stress of this big world event and try to seize the unexpected opportunities that were coming my way and that did come my way in the near future. So in August of 2004, I was deployed for the third time. I was deployed to Balad, Iraq, where I helped establish the Air Force Theater Hospital. It was comprised of about 25 what are called tempered tents. And those of you that may remember the TV series called MASH about an Army trauma hospital in Korean War, that's what they were, living in tents and having a hospital in tents. So Balad was very stressful. Balad was affectionately known as Mortaritaville because there were more daily mortars and rockets landing at that location than any other single location in Iraq at the time. The Second Battle of Fallujah occurred while I was there in November in 2004. And while supporting these casualties, our trauma hospital in Iraq was actually the busiest trauma hospital in the world, in the entire world. So there were more combat casualties and deaths during that one single month than over the 20 years of military conflict in Iraq and Afghanistan. So around that time, I started to see the psychological and physical wounds of war coming in. Mass casualties from improvised explosive devices, or what are called IED attacks. They resulted in burns and limb amputations and brain injuries and combat-related stress disorder. So many of them had all the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, flashbacks, nightmares, hypervigilance, and they desperately wanted treatment. I was stressed myself, I was overwhelmed, and I really did not know what to do. At that point, there had not been any single clinical trial in history that have been conducted to inform how you treat post-traumatic stress disorder in active duty military personnel. So I had to embrace the stress of that moment. I had to improvise, and I had to be entrepreneurial. So I modified a treatment called prolonged exposure therapy and started treating service members with PTSD in the active combat zone. And I was shocked, after just 4 treatment sessions, the symptoms of PTSD were dramatically reduced. These troops said, "Sir, I am good to go." So I returned them, cleared them to return to the battlefield. They were able to complete their deployments. So it was at that point that I realized what I needed to do. I had a vision. I had a vision of what was needed for our nation. I had a vision of what was needed for our military warfighters. So after I returned from Iraq in 2005, I retired from active duty in the Air Force and decided I wanted to pursue full-time research focused on post-traumatic stress disorder in the military. So I accepted a faculty position at the University of Texas at San Antonio. It's the city that's officially nicknamed Military City, USA, because at one point there were 7 military installations in San Antonio. So I then reached out to all of the leading PTSD researchers in the nation and reached out to them and basically said, we need your help. Our military warfighters need their help. Our nation needs their help. And we need their help to try to develop and evaluate evidence-based treatments for combat-related PTSD. So again, it was hard work. But initially I didn't believe that I could kind of pull this off. But I led a team of nationwide investigators to submit a 1,300-page Department of Defense research grant application, and I was able to establish the Strongstar Consortium. Strongstar stands for the South Texas Research Organizational Network Guiding Studies on Trauma and Resilience. And so over the past 18 years since we established Strongstar, our investigators collectively have secured more than $250 million in peer-reviewed research money to support more than 120 research studies. And this involves the collaboration of more than 150 nationwide investigators and 50 different academic research institutions. So Strongstar is now recognized as the world's premier combat-related PTSD research consortium. So my humble beginnings, starting like you are right now at Nova University, I never would have dreamed where my career would take me, the crazy train ride I would be on to get where I am now. So along the way, I learned some things and want to share a few of those before I finish today, some of the lessons learned, so that hopefully you can use some of these lessons to help your professional career. So number one is seize opportunities. Try not to say no. You'll be asked to do many things. Try not to say no. Be courageous. Be courageous enough to take that road less traveled. 2, embrace the stress of life. Lean into it, leverage it to your advantage. When you're going through hell, keep going. Number 3, remain optimistic. Optimism is a force multiplier. 4, be visionary and be entrepreneurial. Start with the end in mind. 5, work hard. Some say you should work smarter and not harder. I say you should work smarter and harder. So much of my success was not because I was smarter than others, but because I was willing to work harder than everyone else. So AI will certainly make our lives easier, but that does not mean that life will be easy. So class of 2026, you have the NSU Edge. You are sharks. So number 6, to follow on some of Dr. Moon's words, don't stop believing. Don't stop believing in yourself. Don't stop believing in your family, believing in your team, believing in our nation. Don't stop believing.